Hello, everyone. My name is James, and I'm an addict. And I thank God, I thank God, I thank God. It's amazing how at some point we think we reached some balance or whatever. And when I was listening to the leader and he said he had a firearm permit, I told him I need to talk to him after the meeting. You know, that's why they say sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. You know, this program is awesome. It affords you life beyond your wildest dreams. You know, and it's funny how when I got here, I didn't want to be here. You know, I didn't want none of you guys' handshakes, none of your hugs. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to fuck with you. Is the bottom line. Excuse me, young lady, but I just didn't, because I was angry because I was here. You know what I mean? My life was in turmoil. I owed everybody. The dope man was looking for me. The police was looking for me. You know, everybody was looking for me. You know, and I got hurt, yeah, but okay. I had nowhere else to go. So I knew if I wouldn't be here, I'd be somewhere else. I knew that. You know, when I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, my friend told me that I needed to do something, because she was finna take a vacation and she wasn't finna leave me in a house so I could sell everything. So she marched me down to Impact. And Impact, Ed Ward was over Impact at the time. Impact didn't have a detox. So I went to American Hospital. And on the way to American Hospital, I bought a fifth of Cisco Red. I liked the cold too, with a cup. If you didn't have a cup, you couldn't get none of my wine, because nobody drank out of my bottle. That's just how it was. And my uncle and my cousin drove me out there, and I had consumed half of it, and I knew when I went to process in, it was going to tell me I can go back out and tell my family bye. So when I processed in, I went back out to finish my wine, and my cousin had consumed it all. And I was pissed, because deep down in my gut where I live, my soul, I knew that was the last drink I was going to have. And a lot of people ask me, how did you know? I felt it in my soul, deep down where I live. You know, and I went through detox, and this lady, she was a normie, but she was a counselor. And she saw something in me. She kept talking to me. She said, son, you need a long-term treatment program. This is just detox. I said, I'm cool. I got 14 days. What are you talking about? She said, son, you just been hospitalized for 14 days. This is not a program. This is detox. So she said, why don't you do yourself? No, she asked me, she said, how long have you drank and used? I said, I don't know, for years. She said, well, why don't you take 6 months out of your life to go into a program and have a life? So I said, okay, I'll do that. Let me think about it. So I said, I'll do it. What I got to lose? So she said, it's a co-ed. So I said, cool, I could do that. Men and women, cool. So they let me out, and then I caught the van up to Warm Springs. I get up to Warm Springs, it's like 115 degrees. I don't know, it seemed like it was like 300 people up there, and they was all men and wasn't a woman in sight. And I had been promised co-ed. So I figured co-ed, I could do co-ed, but men only, you know, and I said, damn. So then I get a call from a girl, and she, you know, say, you know, we ain't going nowhere, we not doing nothing, yada, 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 and this is just it. And I just said, fuck everything. I tore the phone booth out the wall, and I said, what I'm gonna do is I'm starting everything all over. And that was my surrender, as sick as I was. And I wanted to go into the kitchen, but they put me in the library. And I hated that, because all the players and everybody was in the kitchen. You know, that's where I wanted to be, you know. But see, God knew what he was doing. They had a small library. It had to be, I don't know, maybe about 800 books. And I read every one of them. And it had one blue book, didn't have no pictures or nothing in it. It was just blue. I thought it was a boring book, right? So I got bored one day, and I picked it up, and I read it. I read it word for word, sentence for sentence, paragraph by paragraph, page by page, chapter by chapter. And I kept going back to chapter 5 because it didn't make sense. It kept saying the same thing over and over and over again. I said, any child could understand that. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying to myself. So what I did, I had a little desk in the library, my little desk. I had a typewriter, old-time typewriter, and I retyped chapter 5. I made about, 100-some copies. They let me out the hill. I came down. I passed them out to everybody. And everybody laughed. They thought I was a new kind of fool. But they missed it. See, they missed it. See, when you take a new person that's interested enough in this process of recovery and dissect chapter 5 himself, he's interested in something. Because if he wouldn't be, he wouldn't fuck with it. And they laughed at me, so they appointed me a sponsor. I didn't like that part either. So I asked Clarence D. I said, man, how can another person in here, as worse off as I am, help me? And he said, can you help yourself? And I thought about it. I said, no. He said, well, won't you let him help you? And he told me, he said, I want you to call me, and I want you to take this commitment. Back then, they wasn't asking you to take a commitment. They was giving you a commitment, whether you wanted it or not. And he said, you got to show up every Saturday. The meeting starts at 12. I want you here at 10:30 to put the coffee on, wipe the table down, sweep the floor, and mop it, and stand at the door and greet everybody and smile. And back then, I couldn't really smile because my life was in turmoil. I was pissed off. So I had this little phony smile. I just, how you doing? How you doing? And I did that for, for 2.5, 3 months. And every week, sometimes twice a week, I meet with my sponsor, and I would listen to his gibberish. And I would go to the meetings because I knew if I went to the meeting, I'd be getting loaded. And I watched him. He was helping a lot of people. And I said, he must be the general or the person that's running these things. Because when you're new and you don't know, you don't know. But see, what a lot of us do is we don't ask questions. See, there's no such thing as a dumb question in these rooms, because this is the only way we find out. And I asked questions because I was interested in the program of action that was outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And he said, what we do is we do this one day at a time. And he said, what I'd like for you to do is just concentrate, on staying sober right now. You just got out of Warm Springs. You got about 104 days because you spent 14 days in detox and you went to Warm Springs for 90 days. He's saying, and we'll get down to the work, but what I want you to do is just concentrate on just staying sober right now. I meet with you every week. I said, we're going a little slow, because he was reading the book and we cover like 2 or 3 pages and he's stopping shit. I said, man, how in the hell am I going to get through this when, we keep stopping? We read, 2 or 3 pages and we'd stop, and he'd talk for about half an hour and that'd be it. Because I didn't understand. See, when you're new, you don't know. And the most important thing about this is getting a new person and taking them through the work like we was taking it through the work. But see, what happens with a whole lot of us is life shows up. We get a little money, we get a job, and don't let us get a woman in a car in a house. We ain't got time for being of service, even going to a meeting, even taking somebody through the fucking work. And that's sad. I mean, it is. It's sad because I was dying when I got here. I was crazy as a Betsy bug. And when I say crazy, I mean crazy. Running around with a knife in one pocket, a pistol in another pocket, a bottle in my back pocket, a syringe in my right leg, the dope in the left leg. Sitting in a meeting with a jelly jar full of Cisco Red and waiting for you guys to say something to me. Say something. Crazy. So I needed some help. And I thank God that the ones was here when I got here. They saw that I was sick and reached out to me. And that's what I do when I see people come in. A lot of us, when a newcomer come in, we just sit back and we like we sizing them up, like we finna do something to them, Instead of running up to them, how you doing, man? We've been waiting on you. Come on in and have a seat. You want some coffee? You want cream and sugar? You want a donut or something? Come on, we'll have some. We've been waiting on you. Herman used to do that. And this man had 30, 40-something years sober. Older fella. Man, he raced to the door. He wouldn't let nobody beat him. Because his life depended on carrying this message and helping others. And we think it's a little joke now. It's a little song or something, right? Whenever I become restless, irritable, discontent, constant odds with somebody or something, in manageability, and at my wife and shit, I get me a newcomer, get one of my sponsees, I call my sponsor, and I do some work to come out of this shit, man. Cause see, I don't want to be restless, irritable, and discontent. I don't want to be at odds with you. Not that it's important that you like me. It's important that I like my damn self. But I want to be accountable. And they took me out here to the GSO meeting one Sunday, and they wouldn't recognize us. I was raising my hand. They were looking at me like, I said, okay. I said, Tony, how many meetings we got up here? Tony said, let's see, we got a noon meeting every day at 12 except Sunday. Then we got a night meeting, and then we got a Sunday evening meeting. So I says, so we got 8 meetings, right? We got 8 GSRs, right? I said, let's get them all, and let's go to the next GSO meeting. We gonna do something. So we got all the GSOs, and we showed up. And see, it's power in numbers. See, people don't do that no more. We all showed up, and we got a position. See, because I fell in love with this thing called recovery. I wanted to know everything about recovery that there was. I wanted to know about the steps, the tradition, how it worked. I wanted to know about the GSO. They was putting motions on the floor I didn't quite understand, but as soon as I caught a hook to it, I was in love with it. And a lot of people look at me like I was crazy. How in the hell you like all that drama? But see, when you knew, you drama-filled. First thing I did was I got a panel, because I already had 90 days. I'm out of Warm Springs, so I got a panel. I fell in love with it, Jerome. Till Jerome on one with me, he got jealous because I had a bunch of them. So he commenced to get me. He know it. I take sponsors on panels, and they say, oh, man, this panel was real nice. I said, guess what? Next month is yours. That's right. That's how we do it, man. I was tired of dying. I wanted to live. I wanted to live, and I was willing to go to any length for victory over drugs and alcohol. We used to give marathons, and we'd have little dances, and they'd be standing room only. All that went out the window. We all done got in the business of living, right? Not right, Jerome? Got some things and shit, I remember my first dance. I was scared to death. I was hugging the wall. I wanted to dance, but had them clay feet. They wouldn't move. And when you knew, it's like that. When I first got my first sponsee, he got loaded. And I told Lee, I said, I got him drunk, man. I said, I'm not sponsoring nobody else, because I don't know enough to be sponsoring people. And so I went and told Herman over in L.A., because I told Herman was checking. So Herman said, when did you become God Jr.? When did you get the power to get anybody sober, let alone yourself? And that sort of pissed me off, because I was hurt. But see, it's a learning process. And what he said was, it's a blessing that you sober. And everybody is not going to get sober because you sober. But what your job is to carry this message that's outlined in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's what I did. Then I sponsored Casper. He was in Grandview. And Casper was out there in the life, and they had a price on his head. And they used to do these little nature walks every morning. And they shot Casper, they shot the program dog, and they shot a counselor. And it was a hell of an experience. Now, I couldn't quite get that when I said, now, how can you be sober and somebody still take your life when you're trying to be sober. And I told Herman, he says, it's a thing called life. He says it's karma. What you do out there, it comes back on you. You know, nobody knows the timetable when that shit comes back, but it comes back. You know, Bobby went with me to his funeral, and I was able to give his parents his inventory. And I told his parents he had made his peace with God. And that was such a relief for them because they were Catholic people, and they was worried about him and the business that he was doing. He was an assassin. And the business that he was doing, did he make his peace with God? And he did. You know, we experienced a lot of things in recovery. You know, and the most important one is one alcoholic helping another, sitting across the table from another individual, going through this work, taking them through the steps, you know, sitting down with them, meeting with them, you know, and being an example, You know, I did a workshop this morning, and this guy came, and he wasn't part of the workshop, but, you know, I respect everybody to come in. I'm not one of those, shut up, don't say a goddamn thing, get the fuck up out of here. I don't do that, you know. I mean, he gained the attention of the floor, so he said, this is a twofold nature, you know, and yada, 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 yada. And I said, okay, that's what you want to believe. I said, just hold up for a minute, but it's going to be all right. You know, everybody thought I was going to go to yelling and hollering. No, it ain't that la, la, la. We was on a page. They was getting ready to explain it all to him. And you know what I did, don't you? When I went to the page, I put on my specs like this. I said, now let me ask you a question. He said, all you got to do is overcome the allergy mentally, and you can stay sober. You know, and I could tell, see, sometimes people pick for argument, for attention and stuff, especially in settings like that. You know, and I had been prepared for this for a long time. And I was just as calm. I said, no problem. I said, just wait a minute. I'm going to get to it. And I turned to page 24, Jerome, like I used to do in our workshop. You know, I don't argue with nobody. I just tell them, you know, this thing was written before I was even born. So I didn't put this together. Now, I said, but we saw that it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopeless and fidelity of life as we had been living it. When therefore we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved, there was nothing left for us but to pick up the spiritual, the kit of spiritual tools. You know, like woman, I got that wrong. What did I say? The simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet, and it was like he had saw a ghost or something. He said, I got 20-some years, and this is what I've been believing. I said, look, man, you know, everybody has a right to be wrong. But this book was printed for a reason. You know, I didn't get indignant with him. Sit down and talk with him, and I finished it up. And after the workshop, he sat down and he got really emotional. And I said, he started up. I said, look, you don't really owe me an apology, man. I said, that's what workshops is for. That's why I say there's no such thing in a workshop as a dumb question. The only dumb questions is the ones you don't ask. It's sad that we leave here puzzled and don't have the information because we won't seek it. We won't ask for it. You know, and it was an experience for me. You know, but there's many others that will follow. You know, and the beauty of recovery, what I fell in love with, was working with others. You know, I did all the politics, the chair of the area, chair of the district, chair of the region, chair of the world, all that. But the best part that I love is one alcoholic helping another. That's what I love. That's what I do now. I still do workshops. I decided after years of stop doing workshops. We started back, I think, about 3 years ago. And it's a joy. You know, I got a good life. I don't have the house on the hill and the boat in the marina and all that shit. But I got a good life. You know, God stopped at my house this morning. Woke me up, man. Shook me up. Whole lot of them didn't wake up this morning and won't never wake up. All through the grace of God, man. You know, this program has given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. It didn't give me back my life because I didn't have a life before I got here. I was running around like like a child running wild, going nowhere, didn't have nothing, didn't want nothing, you know. Nothing but smoking and smoking and smoking and drinking and using. That was it. I lived to use and I used to live. That was the bottom line. And I got tired of it, man. And I was so grateful that I introduced to the process of recovery, man, and started working with people and started being of service, started showing up. When a person asks me to be of service, will I speak on a panel? Show up. When I make a commitment to be a literature person, a chip person, a treasurer or a secretary or a GS, I show up. Because a lot of people watch us. They watch us, and we the best example of the big book a person to see. You know, people rather see a sermon than hear one. You know, because we con artists. We liars, we cheats, and we thieves. We cheats and we thieves. But to watch a person as they go will tell you the whole story. I'm so grateful. You know, I've been off 6 weeks and I go back to work in the morning. And the truth of the matter is, I don't want to go back. But I got some bills to pay. See, it ain't about me not wanting to go back. Now, I can go to a lot of jobs, but they're commission. So I need a job with a salary. You know, most sales jobs now is commission. So I'm going to go back to that job just as happy as I can be and do what I did before I got hurt. That's all. You know, God gave me that job, you know, and I'm grateful, you know. This program has given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. You know, all while I was drinking and drugging, before I crossed the line, I used to do a lot of transporting, taking things, dropping them off, doing this, doing that. And I had always said one day, whenever I stop all this madness, I'd like to really see the country. You know what I mean? You know, like you ever travel through the South during like September, October, November, you know how pretty it is, how the leaves turn, autumn, all rusty color and all that. It's beautiful, Jerome. You ought to see it sometime. But I wanted to see it. and I went back and, you know, the power allowed me to see it. You know, I would like going to Memphis and I'd drive all the way to South Pittsburgh to see my aunt, just so I could just see the countryside. It might sound like something real simple, you know, that's stupid. But it's a big deal. It was a big deal to me. You know, that was one of the things, that was one of my things, and I was able to do that one day at a time. I was able to go to places where they had one meeting within a 100-mile radius. You know, and raise my hand and get mad because they wouldn't call on me. That's one thing about traveling. You know, some of the meetings, they only call on their people. Because when you go, you be, hey, look at you like you crazy. I get mad. I was hot as fish grease. I was down in Memphis. I'm sharp as a tack. I'm raising my hand, and I came up there. I'm hanging out with some people from Memphis. They wouldn't call on my ass for nothing. But it was cool, you know. I was able to talk to some other people, man. They had a meeting in Memphis right across from the project. Every Friday they get robbed. Now you think common sense would say, move the meeting, but they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it, man. Herman told me a whole lot of things, you know, when he was alive, you know, and I used to think Herman was crazy. Because, you know, he had this big position. He was over LA School District, and he used them little $20 words, and he'd say, just put it up in that dumb brain of yours. It'll come a time you're gonna need it. And you know what? When that man died when I was 10 years sober, and everything that man told me came true. Everything. It helped save my life. When I got into them blank spots and shit, it helped save my life, man. God put people in our lives for periods of time for a reason. You know, and a lot of times I used to wonder why he took him, why this man hanging around and all that. Clarence D was another soldier. He used to get on my nerve a lot, but I love Clarence D. Clarence D loved women in CA. He loved the young ones too. He was old, brother, but he was cool. He went to all our little marathons, conventions, all that stuff, man. I come to love him, man. You know, I call myself, this is my home group, so I'm just gonna get butt naked. You know, my little nephew was slinging, right? Everybody was getting money. You know, they was having Mercedes and shit and and Escalade. So shit, I say, ain't about time for me to get some money, Gerald? So I give my little nephew some money, right? I said, as long as I don't touch it, I should be cool. You know, see, rationalize, you know what I mean? As long as I don't touch it, Jerome, I should be cool. So I give him bank. He turned it, he said, come on, Uncle, you want your money? I said, no, just keep flipping. So one day he get a big load, he taking the cross country, they stopped him in St. Louis. And I said, I'd be damned. I was sick as a dog, man. I was sick for about a week and a half. And my sponsee, he said, how in the hell you gonna sell the same shit that was killing you and ask God for help and then turn around and do the same thing? Out of the mouth of babes. See, everything is not for everybody. And that was not for me, period. But we live and we learn. You know, I couldn't get a job for a long time around here. I bought me a truck. I was moving people. I was doing remodeling. I was doing painting. I was selling Christmas trees. I was selling dolls that rolled around the street off their head. I was selling toys everywhere to organizers because I had to have money. You know what I mean? I was broke. You know. And so my dad said, son, what you doing? I said, Dad, I'm getting money. He said, no. He said, the only thing different about you is you're just not drinking and you're not drugging, but your behavior is the same. And it was like somebody taking a screwdriver and just turning it in my gut. So I was blessed and I bought a house. We bought a house. And I gave the real estate lady such a bad time. You know, I made her stand by the bathtub and watch the water drain. The whole tub was full. You know, I mean, you know, sometimes we can be jerks, okay? Assholes is more like it. Anyway, she told the boss about it, so the boss called me that Monday. I thought he was going to say the house didn't go through. He said, I want to talk to you. I said, okay. I said, when you want to see me? He said, can you be here by 12? I said, of course I could. So I got on the freeway, I went to his office, and he said, Mr. McWhirter. And I just knew he was going to say, we can't finance no house for you. He said, how would you like to come to work for me? I said, what? He said, I speak perfect English. I'm going to ask you one more time. How would you like to come to work? I said, I don't have a license. He said, I didn't ask you if you had a license. I said, how you want to come to work for me? I love it. Shit, I said, yeah, I love it. I went to work for him, and I worked for him for about 3 years without a license. An eagle is a monster. It'll kick your ass. Everybody in the office got a license, right? But me. And I see him over there, huddling over there, and I think they're talking about me, right? Because I'm that important, right? So I said, I got to get me a license then. So I got a bunch of character reference letters, and I got my rap sheet, and saw all my cases there and all that. So I talked to the brother that was here last week to help me clear some stuff up in Michigan, another brother to help me clear some stuff up in Atlanta, and somebody else to help me clear some stuff up here. And so they gave me a court date, right? So I'm thinking, you know, this is a setup, because they finna lock my ass up. See, that's what's gonna happen. I'm serious. So I'm praying, I'm telling everybody to pray for me, and I'm going to all the meetings. I say, I won't be back for a couple years. So this lady, Marion, she said, son, where's your faith? You always talking all that God shit. Where's it at now? And it was like another hit in the gut. And I said, damn. So I said, I gotta go. So on the plane, I was shaking, I was so nervous, and I wouldn't tell this story 10 years after it happened. But I peed on myself because I was shaking, I was nervous. I knew I was going to penitentiary. I get to the federal courthouse, and the judge called me in the back, and we talking, he said, you know what? I've never saw nobody like you. I said, excuse me, sir? He said, you heard what I said. He said, I've never done anything like this, but I'm gonna make an exception just one time, and please don't make me eat my words. And I eased out the courtroom, and I got out there on the concrete, I got on my knees, and I thank God. tell me it ain't no God. You know, I thank God, you know. And I thought after I cleared up all my record, I popped my collar. Shit, I thought I had a license. I didn't know I had to take a test. You know what I mean? That real estate is a 4-hour exam. So I took it twice and I failed it by one. And what I was doing was letting his head tell me what to do. You know how you take an exam and your head said, you finished too quick, go back over some shit. And I failed for it twice. I went back and changed the answers, but the third time I ain't changed no answers. I just got up. I said, I'm done. Passed like flying colors. All through the grace of God, man. And I had a good little run with real estate, but the market went crazy. It went down, man. And I decided to get into insurance. Don't let nobody lie to you about insurance. Ain't no real money in insurance, bro. I struggled with that shit for a while. And I almost bought that same lie when I took the test. I think when I took that test twice, didn't I? I took it the first time and I failed. And the next time the man had to come out the booth and give me my keys and my phone. And I'm sitting up there arguing with him. He trying to tell me you passed the test, fool. Leave. I still got 3.5 hours. He said, man, here. So I got up and left, man. Only by God's grace, man. You know, and I'm doing something now that I swore that I never would do. They tried to give it to me when I first came out of Warm Springs. They tried to give me a scholarship to go to school to be a therapist. I said, I don't want to work with no alcoholics and addicts. I ain't doing that shit. Let shit get bad. You're going to do something to pay your bills. I've been there for 4 years. 4 years. And most of the time I'm happy. You know, they don't pay no real money, but sometimes you learn how to do a lot with a little. You know what I mean? And happiness is better than being restless, irritable, and discontent with a pocket full of money in your pocket and making making money your God. You know what I mean? That unmanageability, of constant out of somebody something all the time, not sometime, all the time. Always thinking somebody looking at you, plotting at you or something. You know? Yeah, man, and they love me on that job. I'm serious. They've been calling me ever since I've been up. When you coming back, James? We miss you. I don't want to go back, but I'm going till I find something else, man. But they tried to give me that 20-some years ago. It's amazing how things take a circle. Only by God's grace, man. You know, I've been trying to deal a little bit with real estate. There's not a lot of property out now. As you can see, you don't see a lot of houses up for sale. You know, but I'm going to keep me a real estate license and insurance license, so when I get ready to retire, I have something to fall back on, no matter what, man. This program has given me a life beyond my wildest drunken sprung dreams, you know. And they told me to write down when I got it what I wanted out of this program. And I told them I didn't know. A lot of people was writing down, I want the wife, I want the car, I want the house. I didn't want things because I didn't have a problem catching. I had a problem holding. See, I can get it, but I just couldn't keep it. That's all. But I wanted to learn how to just hold without running here, running there, running here, running there. And through the process of recovery, I learned how, when I get angry, it ain't always just fuck everything and run, you know? I learned how to sit and take a look at me and my shit. It ain't always you all the time, man. You know, everybody can't be wrong all the time. How many of us have thought everybody was wrong but us? But I don't know, in the last, I guess, 2 or 3 years, I've been looking at a lot of things in life. Instead of just jumping up or overreacting, I haven't got perfect with it, but I've gotten a lot better. So you can ask that woman over there that. I've got a lot better. You know, I ain't where she probably want me to be, but I ain't where it was either. Thank God for that, you know. Through the process of recovery, the steps, man. You know, I had this young man that asked me, why is it so hard to stay sober? And I had to tell him, it ain't hard. We make it hard. You know, it ain't hard, man. This is one of the easiest things that I did. The hardest thing for me was to stop smoking cigarettes. You know that was harder than stop using dope? Smoking cigarettes, man. And the only reason why I stopped, because every morning I wake up with that flame and stuff in my throat. And I got scared to death because that little heathen thing, I thought I was getting ready to die. Shit, I had him cut them cigarettes. That was 26 years ago. When I met my wife and I went to kiss, I said, damn, you smoke. I had to back up off of her. But God knew what he was doing when he was doing it with us, man. You know, this program has really given me a good life, man. My father passed last year, and for a long time, it was real heavy on me. You know, and I'd be driving in my car, and it seemed like he'd be sitting right next to me, or some song would come on or something, and he would just, his spirit was there, you know. And I went to this lady that read dreams and stuff, and she said, son, you're holding on to him, and you need to let him go, you know. And it's hard when somebody you're real close to, you got to learn how to let them go. Because my father and I intermingled every day for 20-something years, sober, that I was sober, every day. I took him to the doctor, I did shopping for him, I ran his place. We fussed and argued every day. You know, he talked about all my sponsors and shit. He said, there's some needy-ass people. Every time they come up here, all they talk about is God. I'm going to go to God. He said, don't you think God get tired of y'all? I said, Dad, my daddy was stubborn like that. You know, I love him to this day, but that's just who he was. Dad said, all y'all got women problems. What's wrong with you? I said, because we don't know how to do relationships, Dad. But I miss that man. You know, his year anniversary was a couple weeks ago, man, you know. But God gave him to me, you know, all them years. You know, my mother, she's still living. She's 91 years old, you know, and I try to talk to her almost every morning, you know. God has given me a life, and I try to stand up and be accountable. You know, I try to be the best sober person that I can be. Sometimes I fall short because we're not perfect. We're perfectly imperfect, having a human experience. But I am so grateful for this ugly blue book, the one that I decided to read last. And I'm real grateful that I decided to read it last. And I'm so grateful that this thing came to me slowly. It didn't come to me quickly. I'm real grateful that it wasn't the money that kept me here because I had none. I'm real grateful that it wasn't the house that kept me here because I didn't have none. I had a pair of used French tennis shoes that was red and white that I was wearing in the Crip neighborhood when I got sober. Used, man, you're not new, used. I had a couple pair of jeans and some T-shirts. And I was cool. You know, I walked to the meeting every day, and I loved the smell of the flowers and the grass. That may sound a little crazy to you guys, but I didn't notice none of that when I was smoking. And when I was getting loaded, I didn't give a damn. You know, people would offer me rides back home. You know, it really opened up my heart, man. And I felt like I was part of life at last. You know, we used to go on panels, and we would just load up in cars, and we would just go. You know, and everybody would share for 3-4 minutes, but we was happy to do that. Always take a newcomer with us to show them how we did it. Because Herman always said, your responsibility is to carry this message. That's your responsibility. And I remember that like it was yesterday. This program has made me whole. You know, this process of recovery, one day at a time. I am so grateful for 185. I'm grateful for you guys for raising me for the 20 years that I was here. You know, I don't know, a lot has happened. I'm not being critical or nothing else. You know, people change, you know, but this place meant the world to me. I painted this room, me and Mike watched him probably 3 times. Painted the little room, I don't know, probably 6 times. Painted the chapel, you know, that's how much I love this place. We would ride them speakers and all that stuff in here, man. You know, this program, this place was home for me. You know, it gave me a reason to live. You know, it wasn't a good day no more to die. You know, I used to get up in the morning and say, it's a good day to die. They say, so-and-so looking for you. Scott and them looking for you, man. He want his money. You know, I'm selling dope and I hold the dope, man. On his turf. No, I was crazy. But God watched over me through all that insanity to bring me, I believe, to another place, man. He looked through my faults and he recognized my needs. Dirty, nasty, stinky, robbing, stealing, cattle rustling, selling ready rocks, all that shit, to a whole new life. Most of you know what cattle rustling is. It's running in them stores stealing meat, you know. Oh, you didn't know, huh? Yeah, but we develop all type of little trades, you know, but I am so grateful. You know, and Jerome, I was thinking this morning in my workshop when that fella got a little boisterous. It took me back to when we was over there at Sacred Heart at our workshop. Mm-hmm. You know, and I just thought about it, you know, and I said, now, you know, what would we do? You know he's seeking some attention, so just let him be. You know, let him be. You know, and eventually he'll get quiet, and he did. You know, it's amazing. It's just amazing how this works, man. You know, if you be new, I'd like to welcome you and tell you to keep coming back, and this program works. If you ever having a problem staying sober, just get out the way. Allow God to be God, you know. Yeah. Sometimes we can be too smart for this thing, but we never can be too dumb for it, you know, because we can learn. This is a learning process, man. I am so grateful that God saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. Thanks for allowing me to share. You're welcome, dear.
Let's thank the speaker one more time. Good stuff. Now we observe the seventh tradition. Newcomers don't feel obligated to continue. Please remain quiet, still with the basket being passed. May I have a volunteer read the 12 traditions?